just for a couple of minutes as we bring another chair here. And if it's okay with you, I will not use a microphone. Is that all right? You can hear me?
Yeah.
And me too.
All right. While we're waiting for the extra chair, what I'm going to ask you to do before any introductions are made, but while we're waiting, is for you, obviously you've done some reflection as you were watching the film, but in sort of tradition, why don't you take sort of a moment of reflection to reflect upon not just what you saw and not just what you heard, but also what you felt. And so I'm going to ask you to do that in the beginning.
Thanks, Emily.
No problem.
They are, right? Do you need to strap in?
Yeah.
So I want to thank all of you for being here this evening. My name is Dr. Adrian Haugabrook, and I'm Senior Vice President and University Chief of Staff at Southern New Hampshire University. And let me just situate you with why I'm here. The good thing was that you weren't sitting near me. The very last scene with the what's called the going away celebration at Spelman College, I just did that a year ago with our daughter. And she actually knows Alverna Wade, who was in this video. In fact, she lived down the hall from my daughter, Brandis Haugabrook, who was a sophomore at Spelman College, majoring in double major in economics and Spanish. It also brought tears to my eyes because in just a few months, literally just a few months, our son, who's a senior this year in high school at Framingham High in Massachusetts, will be entering Morehouse College, also previewed in this movie, and also one of the longstanding historically black colleges and universities. And so there's a lot that goes around in this, and you're going to hear from several of us this evening on this panel about the HBCU experience, the history, the tradition. But what we probably intend is less to give you sort of an assessment on this piece that you just saw, but to actually embed you a little bit more in the experience and the understanding of the who, what, where, when, and how. A beautiful piece that you've just seen, and a lot of history, a lot of feeling that goes along with this. But hopefully what you were able to gather through this particular piece is an understanding of why historically black colleges and universities, not just why they were developed, but why they are still such significant institutions in American history, not just in black history, but in American history. And so what I'm going to ask is for each one of our panelists to introduce themselves to you and very quickly share why an HBCU was part of their experience. And we'll begin here.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Stephanie Freeman Hedman. I attended Alabama A&M University and graduated in December of 2013 for my PhD. Previous to that, I did my formal education at predominantly white institutions, University of Illinois in natural resources, Cornell University in horticulture, specifically in coffee production in Central America, and then at North Carolina State University looking at Black heritage tourism as a tool for preservation of culture. I chose a historically black college because every time I went to try to get a PhD, I was told no at my 2 master's program. So the only historically black college, Alabama A&M University, has a forestry PhD. And out of that, I attended there and came here through a diversity program through USDA Forest Service. And now I'm the GIS coordinator for the White Mountain National Forest, which is 800,000 acres of forest located in New Hampshire and Maine.
I don't know how to follow that. Man, oh man. Well, what was that question, sir? And why did I choose you call it a black college. I have a problem with black and white colleges. We talk about integration, and as we get out of the gate, you black, the other one is white. One is better and one is less. And you can't deny that's America. If you're white in America, you all right. If you're brown in America, you can stick around. If you're black in America, you better get back. It hasn't died. It's still there. So I hate to see us go into the future calling each other black and white. And it's been too long, way, way too long, that we should be calling each other Americans. And I think that might be one of our problems. I'm not sure. I went to a colored school. And the only reason I was called black is because Bull Connor or George Wallace in Birmingham, Alabama, wanted to call us black-ass niggers. You heard it before. So you're adults. And that's when they wanted to insult us. I was always colored school. I couldn't go into a white restaurant that was white and colored. You know the story. My mother made a mistake. When I was 5 or 6 years old, we were going to Uniontown, Alabama, which is south of Birmingham and somewhat close to Montgomery. And we were the last ones to get off the bus, of course. And she wanted to show me off to her 13 sisters and 4 brothers, all of them down in Uniontown, Alabama, picking cotton and eating from the ground. That's why they live so long. And I inadvertently went into the white section. And this bus driver snatched me by the arm, so she says. And he says, "You niggers can't eat in here. You go over by the tree and sit on the bench, and you have your lunch." My mother's a strapping woman and not bashful, so she says, I would have whipped him if he didn't have a gun. But at any rate, we had that. The reason I'm telling you that, she sat me down and we had a shoebox for lunch. We had some bologna sandwiches and some bananas. And she said, "You're my prince. You'll always be my prince." Now the problem with that, I'm still a prince. And the character that I got from that, unintentional, she put something in me that says I was as good as anybody, never better than anybody, and never, ever less. And I carry that with me today. I am a prince among anybody. There's nobody better, nobody worse. And I preach that sermon often to my family, and they've heard it so many times I know they get tired and sick of that. At any rate, my experience leaving Birmingham, Alabama, on a train that says colored only. I couldn't go to any University of Alabama was not even a thought. You know, Georgia, any other white school was not a thought. Somehow I wanted to go to Wichita, Kansas. That stuck in my head. I wanted to be a dentist. Never, ever dreamed that I would go there. Got on this train, and this colored man says, "Welcome, all of you wonderful people. We're going up north." This is an L&N train, passenger train. I'd never been out of Alabama in my life. And it was so wonderful. That booming voice still sounds in my head. And when I want to impress people, like Dr. Freeman, I say, "Hello, Dr. Freeman. How do you do?" Got up to Charlotte, North Carolina. When I got to Johnson C. Smith University, it was up here, there was a group of people out there. And this thing about Prince, I wasn't looking for people of color. I wasn't looking for anything. I was looking for people. And that's what I want to say to you in a certain way. If you don't have kids, if you have kids or don't have kids, if you're going to get kids, or if you know anybody who's going to get it, try to treat them as they are prince or princess. That's the character that I got along the way, and for some reason, I I just feel so good about me. Equal to all, not less than any, not better than any. The big me has never been there. When I got off the train, there's people gathered around me. They took my little shoebox of chicken and bananas and what have you, and the clothing I had, I only had one suitcase. But they welcomed me, took me into Johnson C. Smith University. I had a great time, had some of the greatest professors in the world. Now I know I can't go on with this because you got to enter the other bit, but just let me tell you a couple of things that happened while I was there. Now I'm 17 years old going to school. I won a scholarship. I was that good, okay, to this school. I failed to do the work when I got there that was required. Dr. Jack Benson, who happened to be a man of color, said, Harvey, if you don't do your homework, I'm going to call your mother. I'm almost a man, almost. And they don't do that anymore. But along with development in that school, I am still developing some character that will carry me through any kind of war zone or in other kinds of things. And we talk later about a lot of things, I'm sure.
You can hold that up.
Thank you.
Okay, now why HBCU?
I think I was probably predestined for HBCU and for Tuskegee in particular. As Jamie shared with you guys before the presentation here, my great uncle is one of the original documented official Tuskegee Airmen, and he was in the class that General Chappie James was in. He flew with him. But my great uncle was a big man, and so he elected to not fly with General James, who is the first flag officer of color in the military. So that's big, that's huge. But he actually taught the class that the movie The Red Tails was based upon. You guys are familiar with The Red Tails, right? Yes, no, maybe.
It's okay to say no.
Yeah, absolutely. At any rate, so he and my father, who is the only one of his 10 siblings to go to college. My dad is a Tuskegee alum, Tuskegee Institute alum. He met my mother at Tuskegee, and I have an identical twin sister who, from the time I think we were still in the womb and all the way through, knew and experienced the Tuskegee experience growing up. We were always there. My parents always gave back. My mother was a nurse, my father was an educator. He was also in the Army, and so education was really big and important for us. My sister and I thought we wanted to do some grandiose things, like I wanted to be a hotshot attorney because I love Perry Mason. And my sister wanted to be an architect. But Tuskegee was always in our blood, and we were good in math and science. And so between our great uncle and our father, and then eventually our high school chemistry teacher, Dr. Nayanan, who was from India, exposed us and encouraged us to pursue careers in engineering. And Tuskegee is one of the largest producers of engineers, aerospace engineers in particular, as well as veterinarians. And so we were exposed to engineering there through the Moderator Introduction to Engineering program. And that's where the engineering bug bit. And Tuskegee was like a second thought to us because it was second nature. It was family. We were always at Tuskegee. I wanted to go to, where did I want to go? I wanted to go to Harvard. Oh. My sister wanted to go to Stanford, but we were twins, and that price tag for 2 at once was a little steep. But when we actually were exposed to engineering and we got a chance to experience what life would be like on the campus of Tuskegee, not as a family member, but as a student, and we got a chance to meet the faculty who, like Harvey said, when you go, you are a prince, you are a princess, you are equal among, you're not more, and you're never less than the person next to you, or in front of you, or behind you. And the whole purpose of the educators there in those environments, and I don't know if I speak for all, I probably do, and you heard it in the film, is it's the success of every student. It's the lifting up. We rise together, and we excel together, and we progress together. And it's that walking those grounds and understanding the purpose of the founding of those institutions, and being connected to the rich history and sacrifice and commitment of those that came before is the thing that just that's the thing that kept me going, and that's my HBCU experience.
Good night, everybody. My name is Daemond Benjamin. I greet you all in the spirit of love and peace. I went to Talladega College in Talladega, Alabama. I graduated in 2000. And what made me choose Talladega College? I just had a great feeling when I went. I visited in '95. I had a wonderful gentleman by the name of Mr. Knight, Harvey Keye. He wasn't my teacher, because I never had a black male teacher until I went to Talladega. But he was a friend of mine's father, and I'm calling Mr. Knight to this day. And I just thank him because he was influential. He was, like I said, a teacher. He was a 7th grade teacher, but he would always impart wisdom on us. We would go to play basketball, but somehow he was teaching us something. And in 1994, he agreed to take 5 of us on a trip. I quite honestly don't even know why he decided to take us 5, but he said, because his son didn't even go. He told us he was going to take us from Connecticut to Florida and drive up. We went to FAMU. Yeah. We went to FAMU because he was an alum of FAMU. And I remember going to that school and seeing it and being amazed. It was huge. We went to FAMU. We went to Morris Brown. I almost went to Morris Brown, but when I went to Talladega, we went for a basketball game and a step show. And the step show was like captivating. It was like being in a movie. And it wasn't too big, but it wasn't too small. And I think that day, I decided I'm going to Talladega College. I didn't apply to any other schools. I applied to only Talladega College, and I was there maybe 6 months later. But I'm so happy that I went to Talladega for several reasons. I did meet my wife in Talladega. But most importantly, I grew up while being in school, coming from Connecticut, going all the way down south. My family is actually from Guyana, South America. I'm actually the first male in my family to be born in the States. And I guess I kind of wanted to kind of mimic my father's journey, and I just wanted to go far. I didn't want to go out of the country, but I wanted to go far. And Talladega just had a wonderful spirit about it. I felt like I would still be at home. And I just saw so many wonderful people who looked like me. And it was, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. I'm grateful that I did.
So one of the quotations that you saw on the screen, if you remember, was, let the world be a black poem. And some of what you've just heard here on this stage are personal narratives that could be that world that's a black poem. And so much of this is about experience, but it's also, as you understand the history that was displayed here, one, it was set up in a way that